accepting our invites and being here on time and maintaining the protocols so well. Thank you very much, and we are looking forward to hearing you out. And please try and motivate as many as girls as there are here to take up entrepreneurship as their future careers. So thank you very much for being part of this brilliant platform. Thank you very much once again from even Mala ma'am. She will try and address you a little later, but thanks for accepting and being here. So
thank you for having us.
I'll ask Kaushal Dongre to start off his adventure. So that would be his introduction as well, as to how he has come up to the area that he claims that he enjoys today, and he stands tall. He has gone through a lot probably, but yes, he is a very dynamic entrepreneur that we have today. So thanks again, Kaushal. Let's hear you out.
You're on mute, Kaushal.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anuradha ma'am, for inviting me. I remember 6.5 years back, after almost 4 to 5 failed attempts at various ventures, I was sitting with my dad and I told him, Dad, I want to do something in food industry. And Dad, being a government servant, and we are basically Maharashtrian, so there's a conservative approach. And he said, son, since you are a law graduate, since you are a commerce and law graduate, why don't you think of working for someone and working in a corporate sector? I'm sure you'll do well. And I asked him, Dad, if you think I can do well, working for others, if I put the same amount of hard work in my own venture, why do you think I will not be able to do better in my own startup or a venture that I take up? He reluctantly, basically, took a sigh and said, if you want to do something in food industry, then you should meet Dr. Prabodh Halde, who is a family friend and my mentor now. And I went to meet him, and I remember when I went, I told him that my passion is, into production. I want to set up my own factory and do some kind of production. And before I could complete, he said that, Kaushal, you're thinking in the wrong direction. The most important thing in any venture is to sell first, to learn how to sell first. Once you get the art of selling and you have the market in your hand, you can always do production as a part of backward integration. That completely changed my mindset. And then, I told him that I am from Karad, which is a part of Kolhapur belt, world renowned for jaggery. So he suggested that, if you have the patience and perseverance to, really make it something fruitful in food industry, you should think of building a brand in jaggery. Because back then there was hardly anyone who had thought of building a brand in jaggery as such. And I really liked the idea and the concept, and we did a consumer survey wherein we found that inconvenient size and unhygienic packing were two major reasons why consumers were reluctant to use jaggery as the preferred natural sweetener on a daily basis. So we tried to address this concern, and we came up with something very innovative. We were the first in the country to introduce jaggery in this small cubes form, hygienically packed in PET jars. And right from the start, we had this vision that we'll build this as a FMCG company and change the mindset of consumers from looking at jaggery as a commodity to a brand. So in the first year, when we had the product ready, I went to meet a few retailers. Without any exaggeration, I met around 80 to 90 retailers, and they turned us away, saying that jaggery, we had priced the jaggery at 80 rupees a kg because we had this FMCG margin structure for our retailers, distributors, which was unheard of then. And when I told them that the MRP is 80 rupees half kg, they said that that means 160 rupees a kg. And jaggery can never sell at 160 rupees a kg when normal jaggery was available then around 50 to 60 rupees. Even now it is available at 1 kg blocks are available at 60 to 70 rupees a kg. We tried to convince a few of them, and finally 2 of them agreed, and we told them, the consumer is the king. Just keep the products on your shelf, just a few jars, and if they don't go off the shelf, we are here to take them back. And the consumers liked the product, they accepted it, and we are happy to inform that all the retailers back then who had turned us away are doing business with us, and they are selling Power Jaggery now. And the initial 3 years, we were short of production. We didn't have enough supply, and so the production of jaggery happens from November to March, April, May, maximum till May. So 6 months you have to produce, and the next 6 months on the whole year you have to stock the product and sell it. And initially, since we were the first in the country, the production is done manually. So by August, September, our product was getting out of stock in the market. And the consumers and the retailers, the distributors would yell at us, "आप क्यों आदत लगाते हो अगर आप पूरा साल supply नहीं कर सकते हो तो?" And after 3 years, the competition had creeped in, and they had started doing some unethical practices, to keep supplying in the market by adding sugar to jaggery. There are a lot of players who do that, but our aim at Pavak was, to make consumers switch to jaggery from refined sugar. And so we decided, we took a firm stand that we'll go dry in the market, but we will not, compromise on the quality. After the 4th year, when our turnover, from first year to when we did 6 lakhs, by 3rd year it was 5 times 33 lakhs, and the 4th year we clocked around 50 lakhs. The production, we were able to do a lot of production, so we thought of expanding the market. The initial years, as I said, we didn't have the product in the market for the last 2-3 months when the next production was about to start. That was the biggest challenge, to convince them that why we are doing so and why we are running dry in the market. And after we had the production, we increased our presence in the market. We got listed in DMart as well last year in their Pune region, after roughly 30 to 35 visits to their head office. DMart tests your perseverance to a different level altogether. And once we had the market, we thought, now there's no looking back. We can grow exponentially from here. And then we had this another issue of spoilage. I still remember, there are a lot of times when consumers would call us, the distributors were calling and saying, "Sir, maal bahut kharab ho raha hai, isme kuch kariye aap वगैरह." And the team there, when I used to inform my production team there, supervision team, where we get it, done. We do third-party manufacturing for now, but there is a team who does, all the logistics part, the production, the packaging, and everything. They send it here. We supply it in the market. It goes to the consumers, and from the consumers, the sales recall is something which cannot be expressed in words. It is absolutely painstaking. And around July last year, Kolhapur, there was unprecedented flood in the Kolhapur region, which affected our Karad area as well. And I received a call from my Karad team one day, and they said that almost 80 to 85% of the stock that we have is about spoiled because of the moisture content in it. And it completely left me numb. I said that on another 4 months, that till the next production starts, how are we going to survive now? Competition had also, creeped into a large extent. The next morning I woke up and, I stood up in front of the mirror and I asked myself, what is my vision at Pavak? And I remembered, that my aim is to make consumers aware, realize, and adopt jaggery as the preferred natural sweetener. And as they say, if you've got a strong purpose, means will certainly follow. That is what happened. After a couple of days or so, we got some technical solution, and we could actually sort out that issue and serve the market. So the initial 3 years, when there was a stockout situation. After this, the spoilage issues, then we were able to grow till 1 crore in the 5th year. And now we thought that we've got the market ready, and we have the market. We should think of getting into production. And unfortunately, there is no proven technology for jaggery production of 1 kg blocks. The cubes is out of question because we were the first, and we are still working on the technological aspect of production. The point that I'm trying to make is, in this journey of being a startup entrepreneur, you always feel that ये हो गया, अभी कोई problem नहीं आएगा, अभी कोई problem नहीं आएगा. But the struggles and the difficulties change from time to time, but they are always there. So you have to be really strong and persevere with your venture and keep going strong. What really motivates or drives to be an entrepreneur is the customer satisfaction that you get. When the consumers call you and they said that they really like your product, and that their children have started consuming jaggery in place of chocolates, and they've started using jaggery in place of refined sugar in their tea, coffees, and sweet dishes. The satisfaction that you get of creating, being a medium of creating a healthy impact on the society is something that you cannot explain in monetary terms. The key learnings in this my small journey of entrepreneurship would be, that I would like to share with you is, first thing before you start, just try to find what is the need in the market. Where is that opportunity where you can actually see that there's a need for a certain product in the market. Once you're able to identify that need in the market, half of your job is done. In the sense, your product your product becomes a part of the scenario where it gets a pull from the consumers, rather than you doing something which is there is no need as such in the market and you want to push the product. So once you get the pulse of the market, once you understand what is the need, you're almost there for the initials, to get it right from the start. And second, I would say perseverance and patience, of course, because there are times when you feel in the venture, in your journey, that you realize that there's nothing going on, kuch hoga ki nahi, ye aage badhega ki nahi, whether I'll be able to scale up this. But believe me, if you really stay focused and persevere, you will see the results going forward. So when initial year, when I had done 1,000 jars, now I've done 3 lakh jars. I never thought then how will I reach there. But it's about the journey, just utilizing every day in the best possible manner, how you can improve yourself. And third point I would say is to have interpersonal skills, strong interpersonal skills. In any aspect of your life, I have realized that if you have these strong, have the quality of maintaining strong relations, be it with your partners, your vendors, your customers, it is something that will help you, be successful at any venture that you take up. And I personally do this. There's this book I would request all of you students to read this book named The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It is actually a course, I would say, and I keep reading it every day, at least a few pages, just to keep myself in the right frame of mind. And yes, do have a dream and a strong vision. And there's this quote in The Alchemist, the book named Alchemist, that when you really want something, the whole world conspires to achieve what you want. So dream big and have a strong vision. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really amazing to know about your journey. Before we go ahead, I would just like to ask you that did you take up any kind of a training or any kind of before you actually started to do or thought of doing a business as far as the food industry is concerned?
Right. So, the biggest advantage that I had is, getting a mentor right from the start. And in the form, Dr. Prabodh Halde, who's very famous in food industry, and he is my mentor. So getting the right mentor is a very important. And if you see in this AFST, this Association of Food Scientists and Technologists group, they have these mentors on their website. So a lot of students in these AFST programs, these AFST members say that, try to get the mentors. Their list is available there, and you can try to get. If you get the mentor right and you are in the right direction, it helps a lot in the long run.
Right, sir. You also have basically now developed I am sure you started very small, but now you have a product which is very well packaged and also labeled. So
Right.
How did you go about that? The know-how for packaging, the know-how for labeling. So in terms of if a student really wants to apply to your industry and would like to work with you, what would you look for in our student in order to take them up to in Pavak Foods?
Right. So our production going forward will be in Karad, and the most important aspect is, of course, the eagerness to learn every day. You see that in students who want to actually excel, and it's not, just if they've got a project and they want to complete this, or they've been given a certain task, and once you finish that, बस हो गया, जितना job कर रहे हैं, जितना मिल रहा है उतने के लिए ठीक है. There are people you can realize that, there are students who want to grow with every passing day, want to learn something. So sincerity and dedication, of course, is very important for the potential candidates.
Are you just generally taking it forward, sir? Are you looking forward to developing some new products, etc., and then putting into the market?
Certainly. So, but since we've got now two products, one is in cubes form and the others in the powdered form, and we've recently launched in the liquid form as well, which is called Kakvi. Going forward, when we have our own production, we want to get into other products, jaggery-based products, so that there is a lot of opportunity to switch to jaggery from sugar, and a lot of products which has got sugar as an ingredient, to make that product even more healthier. So students from your college and who graduate and then look for a job will be more than happy to take them.
So some kind of innovative products, etc., might actually bring them to Pavak Foods.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much, sir. My dear students, if you have any questions, I request you to put them into the chat box. And I think Kaushal sir will be here with us for some time. So
Sure.
In case of questions, then we will come back to you, sir.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that very. Okay. Now we go into the next speaker, and I would invite Kajal Thosani to please come in and speak to our students.
Hello, am I audible to you, ma'am?
1 second. Yes, you are.
Okay. So my heartfelt gratitude to the teachers and the students, and thank you for being here. And thank you for having me here to share my experience about my journey and how I have come up in life. So before I start, about my work and my career, I want to definitely tell all the students there that I was definitely not a grader, and I probably have, been always struggling to get my scores, get my marks, and I think I must have really troubled the teachers a lot because I was always missing out on college because my mother was not well, you see, so I could not attend lectures, not attend college. So in short, I was also a rusticated student from the college. And when my dad went and spoke to the teachers, that's where I was allowed to give my exam. And So the only thing that kept me going, was my goal, because I always knew what I wanted to do when it came to nutrition. And I had Anu ma'am, Vinaya ma'am, Mala ma'am, Meena ma'am, guiding me, supporting me. And it was also Vidya ma'am who said, if you want to do something in life, Kajal, you must read. So I am, though it's 20 years for my college, I'm still, in touch with Vidya ma'am about the books and about new things. So the first and foremost, most important thing I want to tell you all is read as much as possible. Stay up to date, with your work, with what's happening in and around nutrition area. So I'll tell you, I joined college in 2000. I passed out in 2005. I took a year's break. I was an SSN student. And after a year, I went back to college. So in that year, I experienced working gym. I also worked as a receptionist to start there, because I wanted to gather some kind of training of how do you speak to clients, how do you attend calls. So I also worked as part-time nutritionist, part-time receptionist in a gym. So the first thing is you should never think that work is too big or too small. And after a year, I went back to college again to do my post-graduation in sports science and nutrition. And I remember when I was going for my entrance exam, Vinay ma'am told me, exam nahi bhi likhegi to bhi chalega. Will you be regular in college? And I was like, yes, ma'am, I will be for sure. So that was one thing. And then I finished my postgrad. I worked in hospitals because, when we were an FSN and we were in post-graduation, the college gave us this very amazing thing called internship, which was compulsory. So that brought in good confidence. So if you have any internships going on, please take them very seriously, because that's where I decided what I want to do in life. And after passing out college in 2007, I actually opened up my own setup called Health and You. And I started the process of trademarking it and copywriting it and all. And I was working out of different cafes, because I didn't have the money to buy a clinic or rent a clinic. So in one such cafe, I think somebody saw me working and recommended me to the Endemol production house, saying that there is this so and so person, who is working as a nutritionist. And that's where I got my first Bigg Boss break in 2009. And I was Health and You was an official, I was a part of Bigg Boss season 3, 4 and 5, officially MTV Crunch. So that's where the journey of my work began, I started working from there. And then I started taking up more work in terms of anything that came my way, I always told myself that don't run after money, run after work, money will follow. And that's what has happened in this last 12 years, 13 years of Health and You. So then I started working. I also joined the cricketer Irfan Pathan to do his, he opened up his training, Cricket Academy of Pathan. So I started training children, traveling to train his students, about food. I worked with models basically to break the myth of zero size. So I worked with Alicia Roth, who is a top-notch Indian model, who's been working I've been trying to do something which is different from weight loss. It's more to do with, different work in industry. I also have practice. Of course, I go to the clinic part-time and I do some work there for weight loss and therapeutic counseling and all. But I also do a lot of writing in the magazines or the newspapers. I don't see how much they are paying, whether they are paying, not paying. That's not the important factor. Important factor is everything that you do keeps you on a go and keeps you, learning about something or the other, whether it's working with the models or working with Bigg Boss setup or doing, any other radio shows I have been part of. So always remember one thing, run after work, money will follow. I definitely want to share the do's and the don'ts that I have learned when I was, in the setup. The first and the foremost important thing, which I definitely learned was it is not a cakewalk. Okay, if you are going to think it's a cakewalk, success comes with a price tag. It's not easy. Okay, so you have to have that goal, like Kaushal sir said. I wanted to decide what I want to do with my life, with this product designing and all that. So it's not a cakewalk. If you take your goal seriously, you will find help everywhere. I think it's been almost 20 years, 15 years I'm passed out, but still I call up Mala ma'am or Vinaya ma'am if I'm stuck somewhere, because I feel that's so important to stay grounded, to go back to your teachers and understand if you are wrong somewhere. So it's a learning experience even till date kind of a thing. So the do's is first and foremost is hardcore honesty. I'm very honest with my work, and I always believe that your goodwill will bring you clients and will bring you more clients and will bring you more clients. You have to be very, very honest with your work. It's so important. Patience, yes, because success, like I said, doesn't come easily. You have to have a lot of patience, to some clients achieve the results quick, some clients don't achieve the results quick, so you have to be a little patient. There has to be perseverance. You have to be very ethical. So for example, if some client is not achieving the result, you don't go the unethical way to get the result. You try to understand the ways and the means what is going wrong. So you need to be ethical in your work, discipline. So whether anybody walking into my clinic, timing is a very important thing. Even whether you could be from the television industry, from a movie industry, from wherever you are, everything is outside the clinic gate. If your time is 11 o'clock, you have to be there by 11. So I think in the 13 years of my career, I think I've valued time for my own self and valued my client's time. So till date, I have always made sure that nobody is, everybody knows their timings, 5-10 minutes here and there, but if you are late, the appointment is cancelled. So, learn to value yourself too. Don't say, oh, ये ऐसा है, वो celebrity है, उनके लिए wait करना है. So I don't do all that. I think that's very important, because you need to value your time. I have been with people, or I have been in the company of people who are like-minded. So I think that's one of the do's, if you really want to be in the industry, be with people who are like-minded, be with people who are humble, who are compassionate. And one thing I learned when I was working in Bigg Boss with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, he used to always say one famous dialogue, and I think you must have heard him quoting an ample number of times. He keeps saying that, jo hua acha, jo nahi hua, wo aur bhi acha. This is his, I think, patent and his favorite dialogue, and he used to always, say the same thing on the set every Friday to Friday when we met him. And one more thing he told us, that even if you marry the rich person, make sure you're earning 10,000 rupees and coming home. So I think those two important lessons I'm going to pass on as a wisdom to you all, because this is what he had. Of course, we didn't meet him personally, but this is what he used to talk on sets that vaguely I remember. So this is one of the important things. And quality work, the time management, I think I've learned from him, because he's always on time, everywhere. So I think that's what I've picked up from him, that you have to really respect your time. And quality work, quality money, substandard work, substandard money. So you need to know how you have to be your own brand ambassador. It's not about who is going to be your brand ambassador. If you are going to give quality work, people will come to you. So that's what I definitely want to tell all you students, that if you are planning to do something, this is the right time to take it, forward. Don't wait कि college खत्म हो जाएगा, फिर कुछ करेंगे, फिर देखेंगे. Decide now. It's now or never. The don'ts that I have learned, of course, being in college and also through experiences, don't complain. ये notes नहीं मिल रहा है, वो वैसा नहीं हो रहा है, वो ऐसा नहीं चल रहा है, ये payment नहीं आ रहा है. I think when we complain, when we whine too much, we actually miss out on learning. So don't complain, don't procrastinate. Like I had made my goal list, and I still do that. I do which year I'm going to do what. Sometimes it goes according to the plan, sometimes circumstances it doesn't go. But I try and make sure that I stick to it. So don't procrastinate, because procrastination is like a stealer for success. The minute you start delaying work or saying that, okay, kal karenge, parsu karenge, to wo hona hi nahi, it's not going to work. And most importantly, like Kaushal sir said, I decided not to give up. So it's very important that you don't give up on your dreams, and start working. So basically, have a clear mind, know what you are doing, create a roadmap, identify your strength. I have my weaknesses too. So I've been working on the weaknesses too. So it's not that I'm such a, I'm always on point. We all have strengths and weaknesses. So identify your weaknesses, work on them, create and define your USP. So that's the unique selling point. So for Health and You, the USP, is basically, you have to, everything and anything I do is my USP. You see, so that's what is important. So whenever you make your goals and dreams and aspirations, create your USP, look for help, be honest. That's what I want to tell. And be in touch with your teachers. There's so much to learn from them. I keep asking Vidya ma'am if there's any new book come up or is there anything new. I recently wanted to talk something on some reading thing. So I actually went out and messaged her, to ask her what happens when you read and also try reading books. I read at least 12 books a year. So thanks to Mala ma'am who's inculcated this habit of reading in us. So I think this is what I want to share. And in case anything, you all are free to always, contact me and mail me, talk to me, but don't give up and study and do well. All the best to all of y'all.
Kajal, that was amazing. Okay. It has really been a very amazing journey. What I really like about you is the patience and the perseverance with which you have made your name today. So it is really, really excellent. Okay, there are certain questions that the students have put up in the chat. Okay, of course, one also was for Kaushal sir, but questions that are related to you, I'll just take it up. Okay, so Sakshi wants to ask you that, ma'am, you mentioned that internship in PG played an important role in your career. Can you tell us more about it?
So first, when I was in FSM, I definitely didn't want to do internship, and I remember Anu ma'am saying internship. I think Meena ma'am, I met her. I said, Meena ma'am, internship, nahi karni. I don't want to go. And she said, if you're not going to do the internship, you're not going to pass the exam, because that's one protocol for giving you the certificate. So I did my internship in the hospital. I was working with Dr. Nathan and Shushruth Hospital. That also, it was a little tough, but I learned a lot. After passing out my college, I was not sure. So I asked Anu ma'am what to do. And she was the one who put me to Kikabai Hospital, to divert my mind. So when I went to hospitals, that's where my health and you was born. And I started working in a gym. So I went to a gym to do my internship. I was working also, and I was also doing my internship there. So like I said, I was being a receptionist. I was also being answering calls. I was also serving clients because we had a pantry there. So you had to do everything, which was a learning experience, of keeping your self-respect and integrity in place, of course. So it was a learning experience. You were learning about clientele, you were learning about different kind of body types, different moods. And when I realized that only my nutrition, background was not helping me to understand the clientele better, I went and did my post-graduation in counseling, and I learned a different kind of a counseling session, to understand how to handle my clients better. So it's like I said, it's a learning experience throughout the journey. And any internship is very important, whether it's a food industry, whether it's a gym, whether it's working with, one-on-one with a nutritionist. It is going to teach you something. It's never a waste of time.
Thank you, Kajal. One more question. Okay. By Sneha Chand, who is asking you, how did you connect with different cafes? As in, what all were the procedures which you followed for the same?
So basically now the Cafe Coffee Day is shut. So I was very upset, when the Cafe Coffee Days in countries shut. So I actually called them up and I worked with them. So I was literally going to all the cafes in Bombay. Like I was so well known in most of the cafes because I used to go there. I used to go there only for 1 hour and see one client. So if I had to travel to at least 5 cafes in Bombay throughout the day to see one client in different places, whether it's BKC, whether it's Vadala, whether it's Matunga, whether it's Malad, so I have to do all of that. So take 1 hour, tell them, I will definitely, we used to order the normal cup of green tea and sit with my client and discuss a diet and come out. So that's where I think somebody must have seen me and figured out and spoken about me. And so basically, if you are out of sight, you're out of mind. So make sure you're always seeing some or the other place, working and doing. Now, luckily, so my dad is a doctor, but he told me, I am not giving you my clinic until I die. So I said, now what do I do? I need something. I don't have money to even rent out a place. And he said, you figure out what you want to do. I cannot do anything about this. I'm not going to give you my clinic. So that's the reason. So I think it's very good that he didn't baby feed me, because that's where I decided what I have to do. and I started working. There were some cafes who didn't allow you, of course, because they don't. It's the protocol they maintain, and now it's still, I think, some of the protocols. I still work out of cafe despite having my clinic. I still go to Starbucks because I'm tied up with them for some of the reasons, because so many people don't feel like coming to clinic. So there's a different kind of an energy and vibe that I carry. So they don't like the clinic atmosphere at all, because we sometimes, if they've lost weight, we enjoy the croissant, we enjoy. So there's different ways of working. You can't just, sit in one place and work. So if there are kids, like I have children who come from 6 to 7 years of age, I take them to Hamleys, we buy a toy. So if you ask a 7 or 8-year-old client of mine, the definition of a dietitian, they may tell you that dietitian is somebody who buys toys. They don't care, what kind of food you're giving you. So we go to Hamleys and, we do a session there. So it depends on how you approach your place. It's how you approach, like think out of the box, and how you go to different places to help your clients.
Excellent, Kajal. Really excellent. Okay. Niyati Jadhav wants to ask you, how hard was it to counsel clients in the beginning?
Very difficult. Oh, it was a learning experience. I was learning, they were learning. It was always a learning. Still date, it's a learning experience, because you meet so many weird people with so many weird questions. Right now, I'm counseling Italian clients. I don't know Italian. They don't know English. It's so tough, but you don't give up. Like I said, they want to follow some Indian methodology of diet to prevent themselves from coronavirus. So how do you do that? You cannot say no, because customer is the king. You cannot say no to them. So I got a Italian speaker who can convert Italian to English to them, so English to Italian to them. So I sent her a diet in English. She converts it to them in Italy. So we have 3-way counseling happening, So it's if you want to convince somebody, you can convince them, or you do what Confucius says, either convince them or confuse them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear. The questions are flowing for both you as well as for Kaushal sir. But we'll come back to you. Okay. And please stay on, because I think you have inspired a lot of students, and I am sure they want to talk more to you. But you please stay on, therefore. And we will have our third speaker for the day today, and that is Caroline, who is also been a very, very successful, who has had a very successful career. And I now request Caroline to please share her journey.
Thanks so much, Vinaya ma'am. Ma'am, I sort of made a little PPT. Is it okay if I present it and share my screen?
Sure. Absolutely sure.
I just thought pictures make a little more.
Sure. Absolutely. Sure. And Caroline, we're looking forward to hearing from you about that very famous case, huh?
Yeah. I put that as well.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, I don't know whether you all can see anything, because I can't see it.
We at present can see your only your desktop. So I suppose
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. You need to open your PPT, I think, and then start.
I think you can see it now, ma'am?
Yes. It is opening.
Okay.
I think you need to say that you want to. You need to click your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can see you now.
Okay. Okay. Clearly, not very good with technology, as you can see. But thank you so much, Anu ma'am, Vinaya ma'am, Meena ma'am, for thinking about me and asking me to do this. My name is Caroline Remedios, and I passed out from Dr. BMN College. I think it was 2005 or 2006. I'm not quite sure, around that time. So it's been a fairly long time ago. I was a student of food science and nutrition. After I completed my food science and nutrition, I sort of knew that I wanted to sort of study further, but I knew that I wanted to sort of gain some international experience. And that's when I started applying for universities outside of the country. And this sort of thought honestly came to me because I remember we had a session in college where they had invited some administrators from a university, I think it was the US, to sort of give us a talk about studying abroad. And that's when the sort of the thoughts sprouted in my mind. And I went on to do my master's in clinical dietetics from Deakin University in Melbourne, in Australia. I studied there for about 2 years and worked in Australia for, I think, about a year and a half until I decided it was time for me to come back home. So this was when I think I spoke to the university students, I think a couple of years back. So like I was telling Mala ma'am and Anu ma'am offline that it's very nostalgic that, I've sort of been speaking to students for a few years now, and this year we're doing it virtually. But I just want to sort of tell, I think, the students out there that you need to have a dream or you need to have a goal and work towards it. So pretty much what Kaushal and Kajal have said is that you need to decide in your mind what you want to do. When I finished out and I graduated from food science and nutrition, I knew that I wanted to do my master's and I knew that I wanted to do it outside of the country. And that's why I sort of worked towards that goal. I think what really helped me was that all of my credits from the bachelor's that I did at college were completely transferable. I didn't have to do any sort of stopgap or do any additional course to sort of gain those points. All my credits were transferable, so I was directly admitted into the master's course in the university in Australia. So I think that was a big help. So I didn't have to lose a year. Now this is where I work currently. I currently work at Digestive Health Institute, which is primarily a bariatric center. So I hope a lot of you are familiar with bariatric surgery. So bariatric surgery is surgery that we do for patients who are morbidly obese. So it's weight loss surgery. So I currently work here. It's a pretty fancy, swanky office. But to tell you the truth, I didn't start here. It was not the first sort of office that I stepped into and started my career. It's been I think 10 years since I'm working at this clinic, but it's been a journey for way long before that until I finally reached where I am today. So I think this is what Kaushal and Kajal were also trying to sort of tell you guys, is that the road to success or the road to reach your dreams is never a straight road. It's a learning process every step of the way. There are lots of times when you will fail, lots of times when you get dejected, a lot of times when you will question yourself, but you have to keep going. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an idea of where I started from. So after I finished studying my bachelor's, like I said, I managed to get myself an educational loan and study abroad. While I was studying in Australia, I was working side by side as well because I had to pay bills. I had to pay, had to get around. So I had to work for, to sort of just survive over there. So I worked, at behind the counters at a food stall. I have worked being a carer for an autistic child. I have volunteered at camps. I have done, I think, everything to sort of make money while I was studying in Australia, because you got to pay the bills. Once I finished working, rather finished studying, I started applying for jobs in Australia. And I was studying in Melbourne at that time. And those of you who know or have heard about Melbourne, it's a beautiful city. Once you're there, you really don't want to leave because it's had so much of opportunity. But unfortunately, I didn't get a job in Melbourne, and I got an opportunity to work in a very small town in another state completely. If you're familiar with Brisbane, but I didn't get a job in Brisbane either. It was a 5-hour drive away from Brisbane, a very small town. I was probably the only brown girl in that city. We had a very small Indian community. I was working in a community center, pretty much, where I had to go and do home visits to look after geriatric patients. So I had to go to their homes, help them plan their menus, make sure they were getting their food, sort of making sure that they were eating, getting their nutrition. So my entire day's work would involve me driving around that town, home visiting all of these clients. So that was my working experience in Australia. I did that for about 1.5 years until I came back home. After I came back home, I worked at a fitness center, a pretty known brand of gyms that I worked with. To tell you the truth, I hated it over there primarily because of the working hours. I used to do shifts that started at 6 a.m. and I hated it. After that, I knew that I wanted to get some clinical experience in India as well. So I took up a job at another leading hospital where I was working like an intern almost and doing the most menial job. I used to make meal tickets. I had to stand at the line early morning to make sure the meals were going to the patients in the wards. It was not very glamorous. I think by then I had decided what I did not want to do. And I think that's also very important for you guys to know what you do not want to do. As much as you need to know what you want to do, until and unless you put yourself in a situation and see what it's like, you will not know whether you like it or not. So by the time I finished working at the hospital, I decided that I didn't want to work at a gym or a fitness center, and I did not want to work at a hospital. I started applying at various places. I think I gave out my resumes to, tens and thousands of portals until I got a call back and started, from a lady that wanted to hire me for the place that I'm currently working in. And I've been working here since then. So I've been working here for almost 10 years now at Digestive Health Institute. I took up the job 10 years back, which means that 10 years back, not a lot of people knew about bariatric surgery. There were no textbooks, there were no guidelines, there was nothing about bariatric nutrition. So everything I have learned is pretty much what I've learned on the job, to be honest. I think a lot of us don't realize, but it's very, very important to, like Kajal said, is to read. Because I read up, because of my experience of working with so many clients, I actually authored a paper in Obesity Surgery, which is a very renowned peer-reviewed journal, and actually published the first bariatric nutrition guidelines for the Indian population. There are guidelines for different populations across the world. There were no guidelines for bariatric nutrition patients in the country. So this was, I think, this is one of the things that I'm most sort of proud of. I've authored a couple of other journal articles as well, but the bariatric guidelines one is something that I'm truly proud of. This is what my current boss always tells me. He tells me it's either publish or perish. If you don't put your work out there, if you don't have data, if you don't publish your data, no one is going to know you. So I think it's something that all of you all should think about research, think about publishing your work. It is extremely important and it will take you across the world, trust me. Because of my research, because of my data, because I'm constantly learning, because I'm constantly writing and I'm constantly reading, I've got the opportunity to travel across the globe. I have traveled not only locally across India, but I've also traveled to multiple destinations and locations all over the world. This is just to sort of show you what publishing and research and your data can do. From the time I started working here, which was in 2010, I started traveling pretty much the same year that I got hired here. So these are a few of the countries that I've visited over the past few years, but it would not have been possible if I had not researched and published my work. I would never have got the opportunity to travel. The other thing that I also have been doing is also sort of dabbling myself in doing different things. So we've also published a book which is called the Eat Right Prescription, which is a compilation of recipes, which also won the Crossword nominee in the health and fitness category. Again, it was not a core responsibility, or it was not a core sort of KRA or a KPI that I had to sort of do as part of my job, but it was an opportunity that came across, and I could not let it pass. And you guys this is available on Amazon, it's available on Flipkart. It was a new experience for me to write recipes, to publish it, and then get that recognition, and then see your book on stands. It's a different feeling altogether. As part of working at Digestive Health Institute, I have got the opportunity to also counsel and meet a lot of celebrities in the political world, in Bollywood, all across. These are just pictures. I just thought it's easy for me to show you pictures of people, because otherwise I might not believe me. So these are a few of the clients that I've sort of dealt with. Now, in saying this, it's not that I didn't have a team of people who are working for me. I've always been working with a group of nutritionists. The reason why I got the opportunity to counsel and deal with these patients one-on-one was because I was confident. I knew my subject matter. And like Kajal said, you will not take, how do you say, don't treat them like celebrities. When they're in your clinic, when they're in your OPD, they're your patients, and you treat them like patients. The moment you treat them like your patients, they will respect you. So to gain your respect, you need to treat them like patients. So I've got the chance to manage all of these patients. Yes, they do have their tantrums, but it comes with the territory. But you have to treat them like they're any other patient, give them the advice that you have to give them, and there are no leeways. I also got the opportunity to train and do meal plans for the Miss Diva, which was in the year 2014, which was basically a pageant. I got a chance to deal with and make friends with girls across India. I was in charge. I pretty much stayed, I think, at the hotel that they were set up for almost a month or so. I used to get up early in the morning to make sure they had their breakfast, their lunch, their dinner, work with the chefs to make sure all the food that was on the menu was what was required, what was nutritious. So that was another learning experience for me. It also gave me an opportunity to sort of deal with, the the glamour side of things, and that is something I will never forget. Yes, I'm in touch with most of them, also because it gives me an opportunity to see what's going on outside of the clinic. This was what Vinaya ma'am was talking about. A lot of you all probably would have heard the story of Iman Ahmed, who was known at that time as the heaviest woman in the world. She had come to us for treatment for bariatric surgery, and I was given the opportunity to treat her as a nutritionist. And trust me, I had no idea what to do. There are no guidelines, there are no books, there is nothing to tell you how to treat someone who is 500 kilos that has every problem in the world. She had a paralytic stroke, she couldn't speak, she couldn't walk. All her parameters were out of whack. She had a renal issue. She had everything going on with her, and I had no idea how to deal with it. But what I did do was that I worked with a team. I worked in conjunction with the nephrologist, obviously with our surgeon, with the nursing staff to be able to manage her. Whatever I did was basically call on my years of experience of treating morbidly obese patients and sort of deal and give her a meal plan basis that. It was not easy because how do you plan a meal plan for someone who's 500 kgs? How do you deal with calculating her protein requirement when she has a renal issue and is lactose intolerant, who doesn't speak your language? So it was an extremely tough case, but it is something that I can say that I proudly managed it pretty well. But again, couldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't with working with a complete multidisciplinary team. These are a lot of pictures that I've probably read it in the newspapers, and I've also got featured in a few of the articles because of her. And it's, I think, something which is great for me to show on my portfolio as well. But the picture down there is the entire team that was working with her, so it wasn't me alone. I think the other thing for all of you to understand is, especially since we are going into the workforce, don't shy away from responsibility. Take on responsibility. You will learn along the way. Experiences are what make you better. I started off newly into the bariatric industry world. I had no sort of mentor to tell me what to do in bariatric nutrition. I learned along the way. Eventually was given a team of nutritionists to manage. I started training, interns, I was training students, conducted a lot of training camps. And because of that enthusiasm to do so many things, I was also then being given a lot of responsibility. I was given the responsibility to start up a clinic for them in the UAE, and I set up the entire setup in Dubai Healthcare City Center. It was again a different experience because rules, regulations, everything is different. But I took that responsibility on and delivered. So don't shy away from taking on responsibility. Again, very, very similar to what Kaushal and Kajal were saying, never stop learning, keep upskilling, do as many courses online, keep learning, keep your mind open. There's nothing too big, nothing too small. And I truly believe there's always something new to learn every day. Try new things, don't be afraid. When I started off, I had no idea, what bariatric nutrition was, but I started sort of building up on my knowledge, reading, doing research. And along the way, I got an opportunity to do a lot of things that I didn't think I would ever do. I'm currently also working on sort of curating a bariatric nutrition menu at a cafe that we have at the clinic. I've also worked on producing, with a team on producing our own in-house protein powder, which is called Soul Fuel. That's me on the panel there talking about the protein powder that we had developed in-house. I had no idea about anything about food production, but again, learned, spoke to people, and we have a fantastic, superb tasting protein supplement that is brilliant for all of our patients. Keep writing. Again, something that Kajal said, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Take on as much opportunity as you get to write, whether it's newspapers, whether it's magazines, whether it's peer-reviewed articles, write. Also, the good thing about writing is that you're constantly reading, and that keeps you up to date with what's going on. And lastly, I think what's important for all of you all to understand, and I think even the other two speakers have spoken about, that there is absolutely no shortcut to success. You don't get out of college and suddenly reach and achieve your career goal. It's a long, winding path. You do not have to be the topper or stand first in class. I was not that student. I was neither the front bencher nor the back bencher. I was someone who people don't talk about. I was the middle bencher. But I think what helped me over the years is my presentation, my language, my public speaking, my soft skills, my interpersonal skills. This is what gave me the edge above a lot of my classmates, I believe, and a lot of even my colleagues and my peers. Do not be afraid to adapt. Do not feel afraid to try new things, and definitely move out of your comfort zone. Nutrition and dietetics is not only about counseling patients. There's a lot out there. You need to be open to doing all of these things. So that's all for me, but if you all have any more questions, I'm right here and I'll be happy to help you all with that. Thank you so much.
That was excellent, Caroline. That
Thanks.
was really very, very impressive. Okay. Again, a large amount of questions, I'm sure. Okay. From the student side. I really like that particular idea where you said that, you have started and done. I like your first slide, which showed that the road to success is not a very easy one, and that there are many ways in which possibly you would fail, but then you have to get up and go on. And I think this is, I think this is the message that has come in from almost all of the speakers. Okay.
Vinaya, Mala ma'am also wants to talk. So could you just...
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Exactly what I was coming to. So Mala ma'am is here and she would like to... Mala ma'am, I have unmuted as well as also... Can you try from the... Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm so glad because I've been trying to kind of make myself heard from the morning. And I really want to disturb the flow of this wonderful webinar, which has been organized on research, innovation, and extension, and also the very engaging way in which the speakers have been putting across their thoughts. But at a very personal level, a very warm welcome back to Caroline and Kajal,
Thank you.
alumni. Welcome back on a social digital media platform, but certainly we're looking very forward to having you back once we open after the pandemic. And thank you, Mr. Kaushal Dongre, also for coming on board and just sharing some very, very important thoughts with the students.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I think the emphasis of creativity that's been put on innovation, on having new ideas, on learning how to execute these ideas, and particularly as Kalain mentioned at the end of our presentation, equal need to focus on communication, on soft skills, but just the confidence to get out of the box, think differently. These are some very, very important thoughts that you've been putting across to the students. And once again, thank you so much. My compliments to the department, Anu ma'am, Meena ma'am, Vinaya ma'am, for coming up with this concept and for ensuring that although we are under a lockdown, students still continue learning, and they still continue learning so many useful things from all of you who have so generously agreed to give back to the younger generation. So thank you, and Vinaya, you may kind of continue with the webinar.
Thank you so much, Mala ma'am. I'm glad you were here. Well, taking up questions now for all the three speakers. Okay, I think we'll start with Sir. Prajakta Dhole wants to ask you that, Sir, how did you raise funding for your venture?
Right. So, as I said, initially it is difficult to raise funds from bank or from investors. Initially, what helps is the kind of, as I said, your skill of maintaining relations with people, with your friends and your extended family or your family friends. When they see that you are sincere and you're working hard towards something and you've got a goal, they help you. I have tried to initially I tried to get some funding from my family friends and my personal friends as well, and that is how I started with. And once you start going forward, when the turnover grows, the brand value goes up, the enterprise value goes up, then the options of getting debt or a working capital or other loan facilities from the bank and other institutions go up. Now that we've clocked 1 crore 70 lakhs, there are some investors who are interested in investing in us. So as I said, initially it's difficult to get, but once you are on that path, the options start opening up.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, to take it further, Sneha Chand would like to ask you how you invest and recycle your economy and make your industry grow gradually.
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, I'll ask you. I think she also was speaking similar to this in terms of economic aspects of your business. So she wants to ask you how you invest and recycle your economy and make your industry grow gradually.
So if you're asking, if I'm not wrong, if I'm taking it in the right sense, she's asking if then once you get the investment or once you start a business, how do you manage the cash flow and how do you keep your venture running?
Going, correct, correct, sir.
Right. So the most important part, what happens is, as I said, when there is a pull from the customers for a product, the payments from the parties also, the chances of getting payments quickly also increase. When you're trying to push a product and you're trying to create a need or a demand for the market, then the payments from the market also, the time period increases. When there's demand, the payments also happen quickly and you are able to produce more, and that's how you're able to manage the cash flow properly.
Thank you so much, sir. Kalain, now Sneha Chand wants to ask you what is exactly your work in the office where you're currently doing your job, in terms of what exactly is your part over there?
Okay.
So-
do you have the entire day? Then I'll start. No. Basically what we do is I work with a team of nutritionists. So we primarily manage patients who come in for bariatric surgery. So we counsel them before the surgery. So even before the surgeon meets the patient, the patient is screened or assessed by the nutritionist to see whether they are eligible for bariatric surgery or not. Then they move ahead into the next phase of meeting the surgeon. If not, then they are put onto a non-surgical weight loss plan. So we basically start them on a diet and fitness and all of that. So that's again another aspect of what we do. If they are eligible for bariatric surgery and the patient goes forward, the primary responsibility of the nutrition team then is to follow up with this patient. So whether it's diet, their medications, their supplementations, everything that happens post bariatric surgery, the entire responsibility falls on the nutrition team. So that is our primary focus. But in addition to all of that, then we also do like support group meetings for our patients. So we do these group sessions where we interact with a lot of patients. We do multi-speciality OPD in the sense that we work as part of a multidisciplinary team where we connect the patient with different specialists, whether it's a psychologist, nephrologist, all of that. So that's all part of the follow-up. So that's our primary focus. But then we do a lot of add-ons. So then we also do research, we do product development. All of what I spoke about is part of then an offshoot of what we do.
Yes. So a lot of work. Okay.
A lot of work.
And it might be just put into a kind of a routine and a schedule, but you actually, if you really look into her words closely, you see that there are many aspects to that work. So it is not just one way of diet planning and counseling, but many more aspects to it. Okay. Something very interesting is asked by Gauri for you, Caroline.
Yeah.
She says, ma'am, was the international education an element towards your success? And could it have been possible without that exposure?
See, education per se is important. Now, whether it's international or local, it's different. It depends on what you do with the education. I personally feel it definitely gave me that edge above a lot of other people, because when I came back and I was looking for jobs, I think, and the reason probably also why I got the job that I'm currently working at is because I had that international education on my resume. Besides the whole education aspect of it, I think it just changed me as a person, because it made me so much more independent, because I had to live on my own. I had to financially support myself. It broadened my horizon and broadened my thinking. It gave me a completely different perspective on life. So definitely, if you guys have the opportunity to study abroad, don't let it go. It's something that you will cherish for the rest of your life, I promise.
Okay, thank you so much, Caroline. One more question by Sakshi, who would like to know more about your journey of publishing your research.
So to be very honest, Sakshi, when I first published my first paper, I had no idea what I was doing, because I never published, I never researched. I had absolutely no clue. I learned along the way. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive and very encouraging boss. So Dr. Mufazzal Lakdawala is my boss. He's who I report to clinically. It was something that I had to do within that time frame. So every year we get targets and we have to publish a paper, and that was for that year was my target. So basically, I started from scratch. We collected data from our own patients. So the first paper I wrote was on hyperuricemia in the obese population. So we basically collected data. So we collected prospective data, analyzed that data to the best of my ability. I'm not great with statistics, but took help of a lot of people, did that, read up a lot. My paper, I think, went to multiple drafts. Every time I sent it in for publication, it would come back rejected with multiple changes. But the next paper that I wrote was the guidelines paper. Again, was a huge task, because no one's written guidelines for the Indian patient. But it started off as part of when we do a series of conferences for academics. So we have international faculty that come in and we do a conference for bariatric surgery. And I was again given the opportunity to do a nutrition aspect as part of that conference. It's something that our organization organizes yearly. And as part of that nutrition aspect of the conference is where I actually got in experts from across the country and across the world, and we had a polling session. We collated those polling answers, and then I went back, researched on what was already there among deficiencies in the current nutrition status of our Indian patients, and then compare it with the data of our patients that are obese pre and post surgery, and that's how I collated the data. Again, no research paper gets accepted the first time around. I think I had about 4 or 5 rounds of revisions before it actually got published. But it's available. I can send you a copy of the paper. You guys can read it, at least get some inspiration of publishing.
That would be good. That would be good. Please do send it to us. Okay. One question basically also to Kajal. You have worked with Irfan, you said, right? Irfan Pathan. So what exactly do you think is the scope of sports nutrition in the country today?
Oh, it's very good. It's very good because I was working first initially for Golf Club of Bombay, in Chembur, where I was, people were playing golf, and how they didn't realize that golf also is a sport, and what kind of food you need, so that your concentration doesn't go down, because golf is a lot of concentration. So sports is a very, really a good field, because most of the people don't know, they only talk about protein. But when a sports nutritionist goes and gives them a broader vision of, it's not only proteins, but it's so many other factors that goes in, your sports training and everything. So I worked with him for 6 months, yes, but then unfortunately I could not travel, because he has approximately 10 to 11 centers across India, but I really could not travel to Raipur or Andaman and all because of, again, some circumstances, So, but it is very important because they give a lot of weightage to your sports therapy, your sports nutrition, your pre-workout, your post-workout. And because he was doing something, between under 10 and under 18 students, we had 2 batches for children. So everything is so different, for children who are under 10, the kind of pre-workout for them, for children, for students who are under 18, the pre-workout for them. So it's a very, it's a different way of learning, and it's a very good field. I mean, people have been still feeling, in fact, my husband is telling me to go, like how, Carolyn Man said, study abroad. He's been pushing me to go abroad and study and finish my, further studies, but I will see, look forward to it. But sports is a very good thing. I'm very happy that I moved away from, I did something better and learned something apart from therapeutic nutrition and this sports nutrition. And we were, I think, when I'm the pioneer batch, I think we were the first batch of sports nutrition, and we were really struggling, but right now, I think after 15 years, I think you all have lots of books, lots of, teachers, too many people helping out. We all teachers, and we all were learning together, we used to, it was a process. So I think if anybody is looking for sports nutrition, it is very good.
Thank you so much, Kajal. That's good. Effectively, we've organized this webinar under NAC specific criteria of research, innovation, and extension. And I think all 3 of you have exactly stressed upon these aspects. For example, Caroline spoke about how research and a part of that research in terms of even publication is very important. Kaushal sir has showed us how innovation is basically so very important. A product which is a part of the Indian meal for centuries, I think. Okay, in terms of Jaggery has now entered the market in a packaged, labeled, and an appropriate form. Okay, and Kajal has brought extension by showing us exactly effectively that nutrition need not be just in a clinic, but also can be practiced in cafes. Okay, where counseling could be done with sports persons and with many more others. It has really been a very, very interesting session with all of you. Just taking one small step back and asking Kajal and Caroline to tell the students, were you a part of room number 21?
Yes, ma'am. Second floor. You can't forget that.
Yeah. This is for the students who are listening to the webinar. So these are 2 students of us who are on our second floor in our room number 21 and using the same labs 24, 26 that we are still using. And so
Vinya,
yes, ma'am.
Vinya,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
They were in 305 before they came to 21.
Yes, of course. So starting journey with
first year BSc, right?
First year BSc.
Yeah, actually, now that Nala said it correct. Yeah.
Yeah. They started with us and then they went to you. So, but they're
Yes,
part of
yes.
BMN. So,
Like we at BMN always say, once a BMNite, always a BMNite. Okay. And we extend this invitation also to you, Kaushal sir, and we look forward to many more interactions with you. May I now request Dr. Meena Mehta to please propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Vinaya Vaishnavan. We are on behalf of our college management and our respected principal madam, we are thankful to all our renowned speakers, Mr. Kaushal Dongre, Mrs. Kajal Tosani, Mrs. Starlight. Though they are students, but we are always saying you are our proud students. You all have made us proud. We are thankful to all of you individually, and we definitely had opportunity to know your journey, and this will definitely help our students to know how and sharp their future career path also. And your talk was not only encouraging for them, but also showing the path for success. With all your tips, ups and downs, and few points what I like are like find out the need, interpersonal relationship, know the client well, do not say no to the work. Many a times, as Kajal also said about internship, we always encourage our students, whether they give you payment or not, don't look after money and run after money, but always run after the work also, and make your career as a part of your life also. It will not give you stress also, at the same time monetary benefit, and you enjoy also doing. An event like this is not happening overnight. Definitely, it's a webinar. It requires meticulous planning, and for our meticulous planning, encouragement, first and foremost, I'm thanking on behalf of the department to our principal madam, Professor Mala Pandurang, for encouraging all of us and always giving us the tip, no, you can do it. That's the motto come from her also. And help her out, help all of us out. Our respected head of the department, Mrs. Anuradha Shekhar, who is always ready to accept the challenge. He never says, no, I will not do it. But he always says, yes, we can do it. And she will push all of us in that direction. Our team is not like because we are working together, but our team is together because we love and respect each other. And believe me, everybody has contributed beyond their comfort zone. As one of the speaker also said also, one should go beyond the comfort zone. So when we are also going beyond the comfort zone because of the COVID-19 also, and quite a few must have worked behind the scene also. I'm thankful to all of them, and of course our wonderful active audience also, and our anchor kind and the coordinator and the host and co-host kind, everything all works together for Mrs. Vinaya Vaishnavan, very patiently leading the show, and all the three speakers very kind to share the whatever tips they had and the queries our students had. You might have felt you got that answer, but still very patiently you have given us the answer. And thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
So thank you all the three of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It's our pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
So
Thank
girls, I felt so emotional. Now I'm thinking that Kaushal is also my student.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kaushal. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being a part, and your journeys were amazing. I think
can you
have
see me
definitely
now?
inspired
Finally,
others.
am I on screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been
Yes,
trying
ma'am.
to work out this
I'm so
technical
happy
issue
with my
from
department.
morning.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy
Yes,
with
ma'am.
my department.
All right,
my
great,
students,
great.
My teachers, my faculty, my principal. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that Mr. Kaushal must be wondering that how can we be so informal, but that's the style of our college. And
Oh.
we feel so happy when we see our girls.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So he has inspired a lot
yeah.
of them.
Yeah,
It was
and
True
Yeah.
pleasure to be with you all.
Yeah, and especially I think Kajal has lots of memories, being one
Yes,
of
ma'am.
the naughty
In fact, I was
students.
telling my husband that I have a call, so he's telling my mother-in-law that आज काजल के मैके वालों के साथ उनका कॉल है, आप उनको परेशान नहीं करना. So he thinks, this is like my home. So
Okay.
he always tells Anu ma'am and Mala ma'am
I'm
and
surprised
Meera
that the
ma'am.
girls are not leaving the room. You know that? All of them are listening to whatever we are talking.
So,
So
yes,
I
ma'am, I
think
have been
that
really
itself is a
naughty.
USP. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been really naughty. I have been rusticated from the college. What more? I can, I can't, it's thanks to my dad and thanks to Meenu ma'am, who was a counselor there, who actually, came and told Anu ma'am that, no, I've been seeing this girl since last 3 years and, she has her personal issues for not coming to college and all that. But I think, yes, never let any roadblocks come your way. You just need to excel. And I remember vaguely remember in one of Mala ma'am's personality development class that she said, wherever you go, stay connected to your roots. So I think BMN is my root, So how much ever I go, I think I come back to, all my teachers because I think it's my root. So that's one thing I've learned from the personality development classes. And apart from nutrition, I don't know if Mala ma'am remembers, I have made lots of money because with the personality development certificate that Mala ma'am had given us, I was training children. And
Okay.
I used to take tuitions for personality development for the children whose parents were very busy and entrepreneurs and working and could not give time to kids. So I used all the PD knowledge and, helped the children. And one of them is already in LA studying her astroscience. And also, I think it really helps. So it's
Yeah.
been
So
good
that
journey. Thank you, ma'am.
Actually,
no, we
listening.
we're really very happy that you have not only tried to do well for yourselves, but at every opportunity. Because I remember Carline getting back on that WhatsApp group and asking me that, ma'am, what can I do? Okay, when can I give a webinar? And Kajal has constantly been in touch. So it's really very, very, I think, as teachers, I'm sure I speak on behalf of the other 3 teachers here also. What more does a teacher want than to see
Exactly.
that the girls are doing so well?
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly what
The
I was.
bestest gift. The bestest gift is to see them grow like what they are growing like.
But I think it's
So
also a lot to do
I'm
with,
swapping your PPT. I want your PPT.
yeah, 100%. I'm going to email it to you.
I'm definitely taking it.
But
Yeah,
thank you guys because you are so welcoming. So we always know that we can come back whenever, and that WhatsApp group actually keeps us sort of connected, and everyone